The first time his wife called me, I was holding my debit card. My thumb was hovering over the transfer button. $2,000 were about to leave my account. And on the screen, his name was still glowing. Daniel Mercer. The man I thought I loved. The man who had called me his piece for 6 months. The man who, apparently, had a wife in Ohio. I remember standing in my kitchen in Phoenix, barefoot on the cold tile, staring at my phone like it had become some dangerous thing. The coffee maker was still dripping behind me. My dog, Jasper, was scratching at the back door. Everything around me looked normal. But my body knew something was wrong. The call came from a number I did not recognize. Usually, I let unknown numbers go to voicemail. That morning, I answered. Maybe because Daniel had just texted me 5 times. Maybe because he sounded desperate. Maybe because I was already scared. "Is this Lauren Hayes?" the woman asked. Her voice was calm, but not kind. "Yes," I said slowly. "Who is this?" There was a pause. Then she said, "This is Daniel's wife." For a second, I honestly thought she had the wrong Daniel. That is how deep I was in it. That is how carefully he had built the world around me. I was 37 years old, divorced, working as a claims adjuster for an insurance company, and I had promised myself I would never be stupid about love again. My first marriage had ended quietly, not with some huge scandal, but with years of loneliness. My ex-husband had not cheated. He had just disappeared emotionally, one small silence at a time. So when Daniel came into my life, he felt like oxygen. We met in a Facebook group for people restoring old homes. I had posted a photo of the 1950s bathroom tile in my little house, asking if I should keep it or rip it out. Most people gave practical advice. Daniel wrote, "Keep it. Some things survive because they were built right." It was such a simple comment. But I still remember reading it twice. His profile looked normal. Not flashy. Not suspicious. He had photos of hiking trails, a golden retriever, a few work events, and one picture of him standing beside a lake in Michigan. He said he was 42, divorced, and working as an independent logistics consultant. The first week, we only talked about houses. Then music. Then food. Then the little wounds people carry quietly. He never pushed too hard. That was the part that made me trust him. He did not ask for pictures. He did not flirt like some lonely man at midnight. He asked about my day. He remembered when I had a dentist appointment. He sent me a message every morning before I left for work. "Drive safe, Lauren." That was all. But after years of feeling invisible, those 2 words got under my skin. Within a month, we were talking every night. He had a low, warm voice, the kind that made silence feel safe. Sometimes, I would sit on my back patio after work, watching the Arizona sky turn orange, and tell him things I had not told anyone. I told him about my divorce, about my fear of starting over, about how embarrassing it felt to be almost 40 and still hoping someone would choose me without making me beg. He listened. That was his gift. Or maybe that was his weapon. He said he lived in Columbus, Ohio, but traveled often for contracts. He told me he had a complicated divorce behind him. No kids. No drama. Just a woman who had checked out years ago, and a marriage that had died before the paperwork did. I believed him. Of course I did. People believe the version of love that hurts the least. 3 months in, he started talking about visiting me. He said he wanted to see the desert. He wanted to take me to dinner somewhere quiet. He wanted to stand in my kitchen and finally hear me laugh in person. I was careful at first. I told him I would meet him at a restaurant. I told my sister about him, but not everything. I showed her one picture, and she shrugged. "He looks like every divorced man with a podcast," she said. I laughed because it felt harmless then. Looking back, I wish she had hated him. I wish someone had grabbed my phone from my hand. But nobody did. Because Daniel knew how to sound ordinary. The first time he asked for money, it did not sound like asking. It sounded like humiliation. He called me late on a Thursday, his voice tight and broken. He said a client payment had been delayed, and his business account was frozen because of some bank verification issue. He was stuck covering hotel charges, a rental car, and emergency shipping fees for a contract in Denver. He did not ask me directly. He just kept saying, "I hate even telling you this." That made me want to help him more. I offered $500. He refused twice, then accepted with a sigh so convincing it embarrassed me. He paid me back the following Friday. Every penny. That was how he opened the door. Not by taking, by proving he could return. After that, the requests came wrapped in emergencies. A delayed wire. A medical bill for his mother. A broken transmission. A hotel deposit that would be refunded by Monday. Each time, he sounded ashamed. Each time, I told myself this was temporary. Each time, some money came back. Never all of it, but enough to keep me from panicking. By the 6th month, I had sent him just over $9,000. I did not say that number out loud. Not to my sister. Not to my friends. Not even to myself. Because once a mistake has a number, it becomes real. Then came that Monday morning. Daniel texted before sunrise. "Baby, I'm in trouble. I need you to trust me." He said his account was locked again. He said a contractor was threatening legal action. He said if he did not send $2,000 by noon, everything he had built would collapse. Then he sent one more message. "After this, I'm coming to you. I swear. No more distance." I sat in my kitchen, exhausted and scared, trying to decide whether love was supposed to feel like a bank alarm. That was when the unknown number called. And that woman said she was his wife. I could barely breathe. "What did you say?" I whispered. The woman exhaled, like she had practiced this moment. "I said I'm Daniel's wife," she repeated. "And I need to know how much money you've sent my husband." My hand tightened around the phone. Across the screen, Daniel's new text appeared. "Don't answer any calls today. It's a scam." For a few seconds, I forgot how to speak. Daniel's message sat on my screen like a warning. "Don't answer any calls today. It's a scam." But I had already answered. And the woman on the phone had not asked for my password. She had not asked for my bank details. She had asked how much money I had sent her husband. That was the part that made my stomach drop. "Lauren?" she said. Her voice was still calm. Too calm. Like she had cried already and had nothing left. I looked down at my debit card on the counter. My fingers were shaking so badly the card slipped from my hand and hit the tile. Jasper stopped scratching at the door. Even my dog seemed to understand the room had changed. "I don't know who you are," I said. It came out weaker than I wanted. The woman was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "My name is Rebecca Mercer. I've been married to Daniel for 11 years. 11 years. Not separated. Not divorced. Married." My eyes moved to the kitchen window, but I was not seeing anything outside. I was seeing every message he had ever sent me. Every late-night call. Every soft promise. Every time he had said, "When this contract is done, I'm coming home to you." Home. That word suddenly felt filthy. "No," I whispered. "He told me he was divorced." Rebecca gave a small, bitter laugh. "Not cruel. Just tired. He tells everyone something. Everyone." That word hit harder than wife. I gripped the edge of the counter. "What do you mean, everyone?" She took a breath. "I found your name in his email. Yours and another woman's. Maybe more. I don't know yet." The kitchen seemed to tilt. I wanted to hang up. I wanted to call Daniel. I wanted to believe there was some explanation clean enough to save me. But underneath all that panic, something small and honest whispered inside me. "You already know." I had known when he never video called from his house. I had known when he only called during certain hours. I had known when holidays came with excuses. Thanksgiving, he was on the road. Christmas, he was dealing with family drama. New Year's Eve, he fell asleep early after sending one message. "Wish I was kissing you at midnight." I had stared at that message like it was love. Now it looked like evidence. "How did you get my number?" I asked. "His phone bill," Rebecca said. "You two talk a lot." There was no accusation in her voice. That almost made it worse. A woman screaming at me would have been easier. A wife calling me names would have let me defend myself. But Rebecca sounded like someone standing in the wreckage with me. Not across from me. Beside me. My phone buzzed again. "Daniel." "Lauren, please tell me you didn't answer." Then another. "She's unstable. She's trying to ruin my life." I stared at those words until they blurred. Rebecca must have heard my breathing change. He's texting you right now, isn't he? She asked. I closed my eyes. Yes. What is he saying? I swallowed. That you're unstable. She went quiet. For the first time, I heard pain in her silence. Then she said, of course he is. Something broke in me then. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just a small snap somewhere deep. Because I recognized that sentence. Not the words. The feeling. My ex-husband used to do something similar. Whenever I questioned him about anything painful, he made the question the problem. Not the silence. Not the loneliness. Not the damage. Me. My reaction. My need. My fear. And now Daniel was doing it before I had even asked him one thing. Did you send him money today? Rebecca asked. I looked at the transfer screen. $2,000. Still waiting. One tap away from gone. No, I said. Not yet. Good, she said quickly. Do not send it. Her voice finally cracked. And that crack scared me more than anything. Because it did not sound like jealousy. It sounded like urgency. Why? I asked. What is happening? Rebecca exhaled shakily. Because last week, a woman from Texas called our house asking for him. She said he owed her $12,000. My knees weakened. I sat down hard at the kitchen table. 12,000. Texas. Another woman. She said they were in love, Rebecca continued. She said he promised to leave me. She said he was flying to Dallas to be with her. My mouth went dry. Dallas. He had told me he had a contract there 2 months ago. He sent me a photo from a hotel room. A white bed. A laptop. A coffee cup. Nothing suspicious. Nothing personal. That was the trick. His lies were not dramatic. They were plain enough to trust. I don't understand, I said. But I did. That was the horrible part. I understood more with every second. Rebecca lowered her voice. I found a spreadsheet. My skin went cold. A spreadsheet? Yes, she said. Names. Cities. Amounts. Notes. I stopped breathing. For a moment, the whole world narrowed to that word. Notes. Not memories. Not feelings. Notes. What kind of notes? I asked. Rebecca hesitated. And in that hesitation, I felt my last little piece of hope die. Then she said, Lauren, beside your name, it says divorced, lonely, owns house, good credit. I stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. No, I said. But it was not denial. It was a sound of pain. My face burned. My chest tightened. I could feel shame climbing up my throat like smoke. He had not just lied to me. He had studied me. He had taken the softest parts of my life and turned them into a strategy. Divorced. Lonely. Owns house. Good credit. I thought of every night I had told him the truth. Every confession. Every fear. Every little piece of myself I handed him because he sounded safe. He had been writing it down. My phone buzzed again. Baby, please. Don't let her poison this. Baby. I looked at that word and felt sick. Rebecca whispered, Lauren, how much did you send him? I pressed my hand over my mouth. The number felt too large to say. Too embarrassing. Too final. But Rebecca waited. And for the first time in 6 months, someone waited without trying to pull anything from me. Just over 9,000, I said. She breathed in sharply. Then neither of us spoke. Outside, the Arizona sun was rising over my fence. A normal Monday was beginning for everyone else. People were driving to work. Kids were walking to school. Coffee shops were opening. And I was sitting in my kitchen, realizing I had become a line in a married man's spreadsheet. Then Rebecca said something that made the blood drain from my face. Lauren, there's something else next to your name. I could barely answer. What? Her voice dropped almost to a whisper. It says, ready for bigger ask. For a moment, I could not move. Ready for bigger ask. Those 4 words sat inside my chest like a stone. Not kind. Not trusting. Not woman I love. Just ready. Like I was a door he had learned how to unlock. Rebecca stayed quiet on the phone. Maybe she knew silence was the only decent thing left. I looked at the transfer screen again. $2,000. That was not the bigger ask. I knew it suddenly. That was just another test. A way to see if I would still obey him while scared. A way to measure how much control he had left. My phone buzzed again. Lauren, I need you to listen to me, not her. Then another. She has done this before. She wants money. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because the lie was so ugly, it became ridiculous. The woman had not asked me for a cent. She had only stopped me from sending more. Rebecca, I said, and my voice sounded far away. What does he want from me? She did not answer immediately. That pause told me she already knew. I think he wants you to refinance your house, she said. My hand slid from the counter. I stared at the small hallway leading toward my bedroom. At the framed photo of my little blue house on the day I bought it. I had been standing on the porch with a cheap bottle of grocery store champagne, smiling like I had finally survived my old life. That house was not fancy. It had cracked grout, old pipes, and a kitchen drawer that stuck every summer. But it was mine. The first thing in my life that could not leave me. He asked about my mortgage last week, I whispered. Rebecca inhaled sharply. What did he say? I closed my eyes. I could hear Daniel's voice again, soft and careful. You know, with your equity, you could probably consolidate everything. Not saying you should. I just hate watching you stress over money. At the time, it had sounded caring. Now it sounded like a hand reaching for my throat. He said I could consolidate debt, I said. He said interest rates were hurting people like me. Rebecca muttered something under her breath. What? I asked. He used almost the same line on the woman in Texas. My stomach turned. The woman in Texas was no longer some distant stranger. She was me, a few weeks ahead. A warning I almost ignored. I walked into the living room and sat on the couch. My laptop was still open from the night before. Daniel and I had been looking at flights to Phoenix. He had picked a Friday arrival. I had imagined him walking through the airport, pulling me into his arms, ending all the waiting. I had almost cleaned the guest bathroom for a man who had cataloged my loneliness. Did she refinance? I asked. Rebecca's voice got lower. She took out a personal loan first. Then she tried to pull money from her home equity line. Her bank flagged it. I pressed my fingers against my temple. Everything inside me felt too loud. The shame, the fear, the anger. But the worst part was the grief. Because some part of me was still looking for Daniel. The old Daniel. The one who remembered my dentist appointment. The one who told me my laugh made his day easier. The one who said I deserved softness after everything I had survived. That man had never existed. But my feelings had. And losing something fake still hurts when your heart believed it. Rebecca said, Lauren, I know this is awful. But you need to save every message. Every receipt. Every bank transfer. Why? Because I'm talking to a lawyer. That snapped me awake. A lawyer. Yes. And maybe the police. I don't know yet. But I need proof. You need proof too. My first instinct was fear. Not of Daniel. Of being exposed. I imagined sitting in a police station, explaining how I had sent money to a married man I had never met. I imagined my sister's face. My coworkers whispering. My own voice saying the number out loud. $9,000. Maybe more if I counted little things. Gift cards. Hotel deposits. Wire fees. My shame wanted silence. But silence was exactly where Daniel had kept me. I don't want people to know, I whispered. Rebecca's voice softened. I didn't either. There it was. The thing that finally made me cry. Not the affair. Not the money. Not even the spreadsheet. It was hearing another woman sound exactly like me. I thought I was smarter than this, I said. So did I, she replied. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then my phone rang. Daniel. His name filled the screen. My body reacted before my mind did. My heart jumped. My throat tightened. My thumb moved like habit. Rebecca said, don't answer. But I did. I do not know why. Maybe I needed to hear the lie in his voice. Maybe I needed proof that the man I loved was gone. Lauren, he said immediately. Thank God. His voice was breathless. Warm. Familiar. Dangerous. I put Rebecca on speaker and muted my side of her call. Then I held Daniel's voice in one ear and the truth in the other. "What is going on?" I asked. He exhaled hard. "Baby, I need you to stay calm. Rebecca is mentally unstable." My eyes closed. There it was. No hesitation. No shock. No confusion. Just the same line he had already prepared. "She called me your wife," I said. "She is my ex-wife," he snapped. It was the first time he had ever sounded sharp with me. Then he softened quickly. Too quickly. "I'm sorry. I'm under pressure. She knows exactly how to hurt me." I looked across the room at my framed house photo. My house. My safety. My future. "How long have you been divorced?" I asked. He paused. 1 second. 2. 3. Then he said, "The paperwork is complicated." My stomach went cold. That was not an answer. That was a locked door. I asked the question again. "Daniel, are you still married?" His breathing changed. And suddenly, the warm man vanished. "After everything I've done for you," he said quietly, "you're really going to betray me over one phone call?" There it was. The trap. Not love. Guilt. My hand trembled, but I did not hang up. Because I wanted him to keep talking. I wanted every word saved. "I'm not sending the money," I said. The silence that followed was so cold, it felt physical. Then Daniel said something I will never forget. "Lauren, you already promised. And I have your loan application information saved." For a second, I thought I had misheard him. "My what?" I asked. Daniel did not answer right away. That tiny pause told me everything. My hand went numb around the phone. Rebecca was still muted on the other line, silent, listening. Daniel cleared his throat. "I said I have your information," he said. "From when we talked about refinancing. You sent me enough to help you." "To help me?" I repeated. My voice sounded strange. Flat. Like it belonged to someone standing outside my body. He softened again. That was always his move. Pressure first. Then tenderness. "Lauren, baby, don't twist this. You were stressed about debt." I was trying to look at options. I stared at my laptop. It was still open on the coffee table. My banking tab was closed. But my mortgage portal was bookmarked. A cold memory slid into place. 2 weeks earlier, Daniel had asked me what my monthly payment was. Then he asked my remaining balance. Then he asked what my credit score looked like. He made it sound casual. Caring. Like a man planning a future with me. And I had told him. Not everything. But enough. Too much. "What exactly do you have?" I asked. He sighed, like I was exhausting him. "Don't do this right now." "What do you have, Daniel?" His voice lowered. "I have what you sent me." I stood so fast the room tilted. My laptop screen had dimmed, and I slapped the trackpad awake. My hands shook as I opened my email. I searched his name first. Daniel Mercer. Then refinance. Then loan. Then application. Nothing. For 1 second, hope flickered. Then I searched my downloads. There it was. A file I did not recognize. LH_home_equity_prequel. PDF. My chest tightened. I clicked it open. At the top of the page was my full name. My address. My date of birth. My employer. My estimated home value. My remaining mortgage balance. And near the bottom, in a blank space waiting for completion, was a proposed loan amount. $85,000. I could not breathe. $85,000. Not 2,000. Not 9,000. 85,000. That was the bigger ask. That was the thing he had been walking me toward. Slowly. Patiently. Like a man leading someone to the edge of a cliff. "Lauren," Daniel said. "Talk to me." I looked at the screen. Then at my phone. Then at the debit card, still lying on the kitchen floor. And suddenly I said it out loud. "This is insane." My voice cracked on the last word. "This is actually insane." Daniel went quiet. For the first time since I had known him, he had no perfect answer ready. Rebecca's voice came through faintly from my other call. I had forgotten she was still there. "Lauren," she said carefully, "hang up with him." Daniel heard her. His whole tone changed. "You put me on speaker?" I froze. The warmth vanished completely. Lauren, he said, slower now, that was a mistake. A chill moved through me. Not sadness. Fear. Real fear. The kind that clears your mind. I ended the call. Then I blocked him. At least, I tried to. Before I could finish, 3 messages came in. You don't understand what you're doing. I can fix this if you stop listening to her. Do not make me look like the bad guy. I stared at that last message. Not, I love you. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I can explain. Just his image. His control. His story. Rebecca's voice shook when she spoke. Save those. I am, I said. But my fingers could barely work. I screenshotted everything. The messages. The transfer requests. The loan file. His photos. His promises. Every baby. Every trust me. Every little sentence that had once made me feel chosen. Then I opened my banking app and locked my card. After that, I called my bank. The woman on the fraud line asked calm, careful questions. Had I shared my social security number? No. Had I sent copies of my ID? No. Had I authorized any loan applications? No. Had anyone pressured me to transfer money today? I looked at the frozen transfer screen. Yes, I said. My voice broke. Yes, he did. She told me to stay on the line. She helped me freeze external transfers. She told me to contact the credit bureaus. She told me to file a report. Each instruction sounded simple, but every word made the situation more real. This was not a bad breakup. This was not a misunderstanding. This was financial abuse wearing a romantic voice. When I hung up, Rebecca was still there. I had expected her to disappear. Part of me almost wanted her to, because as long as she stayed, the truth stayed too. I'm sorry, I whispered. The words came out before I could stop them. Rebecca was quiet. Then she said, for what? For believing him. She gave a small, broken laugh. Lauren, I married him. That silenced me. Because I had been carrying shame like it belonged only to me. But shame was his favorite hiding place. He handed it to women like a leash. And we dragged it around for him. Rebecca told me she had found the spreadsheet 3 nights earlier. Daniel had left his laptop open in their basement office. She had gone down to print a shipping label. The screen was unlocked. At first, she thought it was business. Then she saw women's names. Cities. Amounts. Dates. Next steps. Some notes were brutal. Widowed. Trusts quickly. Nurse. Night shifts. Lonely. Divorced. Good equity. Needs reassurance before ask. I pressed my hand against my mouth. It was not one affair. It was not even one scam. It was a system. A quiet little machine built from women's pain. And I had almost fed it my house. Rebecca said she had taken photos before he came downstairs. She pretended nothing was wrong. She slept beside him that night without closing her eyes. The next morning, she started calling numbers. Mine was the third. The first woman screamed at her. The second hung up. I was the first one who stayed. Something about that made me feel sick. And responsible. Not for his crimes. But for what I did next. What do we do now? I asked. Rebecca exhaled. I think we find the others. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was not Daniel. It was an email notification. From a lender I had never contacted. Subject: Your home equity application is almost complete. I stared at the email until the words stopped looking real. Your home equity application is almost complete. Almost complete. That meant someone had started it. Someone had entered my name, my address, my income, my mortgage balance, and enough personal information to make a lender believe I wanted to borrow against my own home. My home. The only safe thing I had rebuilt after my divorce. My first instinct was to delete the email. That sounds ridiculous now. But panic does strange things. It tells you that if you close the screen, the danger disappears. It tells you that shame is safer than action. But Rebecca's voice pulled me back. Lauren, she said. Read the sender's name. I leaned closer to the laptop. Bright Path Lending, I said. Rebecca went silent. Too silent. What? I asked. That name was on the spreadsheet. My stomach dropped again. I clicked the email. It opened with a friendly little greeting. like nothing ugly was happening. Hi Lauren, you're just a few steps away from accessing your home equity. Complete your application today and receive a decision soon. There was a blue button underneath. Continue application. I did not touch it. I had watched enough crime shows to know not to click things. But this was not television. This was my life, my credit, my house, and a man who had learned exactly where to press. I called the lender from the number on their official website. Not the email. Not the button. The website. The woman who answered sounded cheerful at first. Then I explained that I had not opened any application. Her voice changed immediately. She asked me to verify my identity. Then she placed me on hold. The music played for almost 6 minutes. It was soft piano. Calm. Completely wrong for what was happening. When she came back, she spoke slowly. Ms. Hayes, an application was started yesterday evening. My fingers went cold. By me? I can't determine that yet, she said carefully. But it includes your personal information. What information? She paused. Your full legal name, date of birth, home address, estimated income, employer, and mortgage details. I closed my eyes. Daniel had not needed everything. He had collected enough pieces to build the rest. The woman continued. The social security field is incomplete. A small breath escaped me. Not relief. Something weaker than relief. A pause before the next wave. Can you close it? I asked. Yes. I can flag it as unauthorized and freeze this application. Please do that. I also recommend placing a credit freeze today. I'm doing that. And filing an identity theft report. Identity theft. Those 2 words landed hard. Because until that moment, I had still been calling it heartbreak. Even after everything, part of me wanted a softer name. A terrible romance. A manipulative man. A mistake. But the truth had sharper edges. Daniel had not broken my heart by accident. He had used it as an entry point. After the call, I sat on the couch without moving. My laptop was open. My phone was hot in my hand. Rebecca was still there. Neither of us knew what to say. Then she whispered, I'm sorry. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because both of us kept apologizing for being robbed. I should call my sister, I said. Yes, Rebecca said. You should. But I did not want to. My sister, Megan, loved me fiercely. That was what made it hard. She would not judge me. She would just look hurt that I had gone through this alone. And somehow that felt worse. Still, I called her. She answered from her car. Hey, what's up? The sound of her normal voice almost broke me. Megan, I said, I need you not to freak out. She was quiet for half a second. Then I'm already freaking out. I told her everything. Not neatly. Not in order. I told her about Daniel. The money. The wife. The spreadsheet. The loan application. At first, she kept interrupting. What? Lauren, are you serious? Then she stopped talking. That was when I started crying. I know I was stupid, I said. No, she said sharply. Do not say that. But I sent him money. He lied to you. I ignored things. He targeted you. I should have known. Maybe, she said. But he should not have done it. That sentence hit me harder than I expected. Because it was so simple. So clean. So different from the dirty knot in my chest. He should not have done it. Megan came over 20 minutes later with coffee, her laptop, and the face she makes when she is ready to fight someone in a parking lot. She hugged me first. Longer than usual. Then she sat at my kitchen table and made me open everything. Bank statements. Cash App history. Texts. Emails. Screenshots. Photos. She created a folder on my desktop called Daniel Evidence. Seeing his name beside that word made my stomach twist. Then Rebecca emailed the spreadsheet photos. I did not want to open them. But I did. There it was. A grid of women. Names. States. Dollar amounts. Weak spots. I found mine on row 17. Lauren H. AZ divorced, owns home. Emotionally responsive, $9,240 received. Ready for bigger ask. Emotionally responsive. That was what he called the way I loved. My sister read it over my shoulder. Her hand went to her mouth. Oh my God, she whispered. Rebecca had circled several other names. One in Texas, one in Georgia, one in Pennsylvania, one in Nevada, one in Washington. Women scattered across the country, all pulled into the same private storm. Megan looked at me. You need to contact them. I don't know if I can. You don't have to save everyone today, she said. But someone saved you this morning. I knew she was right. Rebecca's call had stopped my finger above the transfer button. Maybe my call could stop someone else. We started with the woman in Georgia. Her name was April. Rebecca had found her email in Daniel's contacts. I wrote the message 3 times before sending it. The first version sounded too emotional. The second sounded too cold. The third was simple. My name is Lauren. I think Daniel Mercer may be lying to both of us. Please do not send him money until we talk. Then I attached nothing. No screenshots. No proof. Not yet. Just a warning. 15 minutes passed. Then 30. Then my phone buzzed. April had replied. How do you know Daniel? My hands shook as I typed. Before I could answer, another message appeared. This one made my skin go cold. He told me you were his unstable ex-wife. I read April's message 3 times. He told me you were his unstable ex-wife. For a second, I could not even feel anger. Only a strange, cold clarity. Daniel had not just lied to us. He had built walls between us before we ever met. He had prepared every woman to distrust the next one. Rebecca was the bitter wife. I was the unstable ex. April was probably something else to someone else. A stalker. A liar. A woman who could not let go. That was how he kept the whole thing standing. Not with love. With isolation. My sister leaned over my shoulder. What did she say? I turned the phone toward her. Megan's face hardened. Oh, I want 5 minutes with this man. I almost smiled. Almost. But my hands were shaking too badly. I typed back slowly. I'm not his ex-wife. I live in Arizona. He told me he was divorced. His actual wife called me this morning. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. April did not respond for almost 10 minutes. During those 10 minutes, I imagined her sitting somewhere, feeling the same thing I had felt. The floor disappearing. The memories turning rotten. The shame rushing in before the anger even had a chance. Finally, her reply came. No. He said his wife died. I put the phone down. Megan whispered, oh my God. Rebecca was on speaker now, sitting in her own house in Ohio, surrounded by the wreckage of her marriage. When I read April's message aloud, she made a sound I will never forget. Not a sob. Not a scream. Something smaller. Like breath leaving a body after a hit. He told her I was dead, she said. Nobody answered. Because what do you say to that? Daniel had erased his wife completely when divorce was not useful enough. He had turned a living woman into a tragedy. Just to make another woman open her heart faster. April sent another message. He said he couldn't talk about it much because it destroyed him. I covered my mouth. I could almost hear his voice saying it. Soft. Broken. Careful. The same voice he used when he told me his marriage had been lonely. The same voice he used when he said asking for help humiliated him. He knew exactly how to make pain sound noble. Megan took the phone gently from my hand. Let me help, she said. She typed a short message asking April to join a call. No pressure. No blame. Just facts. April said yes. 5 minutes later, 3 women and my sister were on a call that felt like standing in a burning house together. April was 34. She lived outside Atlanta. She had 2 sons and worked in medical billing. Daniel had found her through a grief support Facebook page after her father died. That detail made my stomach turn. He did not stumble into wounded people. He searched for them. April had sent him almost $6,000. Small amounts at first. Then larger ones. He told her he was trying to settle medical debt from his wife's final illness. Rebecca sat completely silent after that. I looked at the screen, though there was no video. I imagined her sitting there alive, hearing how her own fake death had become someone else's reason to give. April started crying when Rebecca spoke. I'm not dead, Rebecca said quietly. I'm sorry he used me that way. April sobbed harder. And then, somehow, Rebecca started comforting her. That broke something open in all of us. Because Daniel had tried to make us enemies. Instead, we were hearing each other breathe. By late afternoon, we had spoken to 2 more women. Tanya in Nevada. Michelle in Pennsylvania. Tanya had sent gift cards. Michelle had co-signed a short-term business loan. Both had been told different versions of Daniel. Different losses. Different emergencies. Same tenderness. Same pressure. Same pattern. By 6 o'clock, my kitchen table looked like a command center. Megan had printed bank records. I had screenshots arranged by date. Rebecca had emailed every photo of the spreadsheet. April sent voice messages from Daniel, and hearing him say the same phrases to her made me feel physically sick. You're my peace. I hate asking you this. After this, I'll come see you. He had not even changed the lines. We had all thought we were being loved uniquely. Really, we were being handled efficiently. That realization hurt in a different way. It made the romance feel cheap. But it also made the spell weaker. A man who repeats love like a script is not a man worth protecting. Around 7, Daniel called from a blocked number. I let it ring. Then another blocked call came. Then another. Megan told me not to answer. Rebecca told me to keep screenshots. April went quiet. I knew she was scared too. Finally, a voicemail appeared. I played it on speaker. Daniel's voice filled my kitchen. Lauren, this has gone far enough. You don't know what Rebecca is capable of. She's manipulating you because she wants revenge. You and I need to talk privately before you ruin lives. Megan shook her head slowly. He means his life. The voicemail continued. I have messages from you too. Don't forget that. Don't make this ugly. There it was. The threat under the velvet. Not direct enough to sound criminal. Not soft enough to ignore. My face went hot with humiliation. Because I knew what messages he meant. Not anything terrible. But vulnerable things. Lonely things. Things I had written at midnight when I trusted him. Things that would embarrass me if he showed them to people without context. For one dark moment, I wanted to stop. I wanted to delete the folder. Block everyone. Pretend none of this had happened. Shame opened its old door again. But then Rebecca said my name. Lauren. I looked at the phone. Her voice was steady now. He is counting on you being embarrassed. I closed my eyes. She was right. He had used my loneliness to get in. Now he wanted to use my shame to keep me quiet. I opened my eyes and saved the voicemail. Then I sent it to the evidence folder. Megan reached across the table and squeezed my wrist. That's the moment, she said. What moment? The moment he loses you. I did not feel strong. Not yet. I felt tired, exposed, and sick. But I also felt one thin thread of something new. Maybe not courage. Maybe just refusal. I was done helping him hide. That night, we filed reports. With the bank. With the credit bureaus. With the identity theft site. Then Rebecca said she was calling a detective in Columbus the next morning. April said she would file in Georgia. Michelle said she was contacting the lender on her loan. For the first time all day, the fear had direction. It was not just sitting inside us anymore. It was moving. Then, at 10:43 p.m., my doorbell rang. Jasper started barking like crazy. Megan froze. I checked the doorbell camera. A man stood on my porch under the yellow light. Baseball cap. Dark hoodie. Face turned away. In his hand was a white envelope. My phone buzzed at the same time. A message from a new number. You should have stayed out of this, Lauren. For a few seconds, none of us moved. Jasper kept barking at the front door. Megan stood beside me, one hand gripping the kitchen chair. My phone was still in my palm. You should have stayed out of this, Lauren. The message came from a number I did not know. But I knew who had sent it. Or at least who wanted me afraid. On the doorbell camera, the man shifted his weight. He did not knock again. He only bent down, slid the white envelope under the doormat, and walked away without looking at the camera. That scared me more. People who do normal things look up. People delivering normal envelopes do not hide their faces. Megan grabbed my arm. Do not open the door. I'm not. My voice sounded calm, but my whole body was shaking. I called 911. The dispatcher asked if the man was still there. I checked the camera again. The porch was empty now. Only the envelope sat under the mat, half visible in the yellow light. The dispatcher stayed on the line while we waited. I remember staring at my front door like it was no longer part of my house. Like the danger Daniel had created online had finally found my address and stepped onto my porch. That was the moment everything changed again. Before that night, I had been embarrassed, heartbroken, angry. But when someone came to my home, the shame burned off. My fear became clean. Someone had tried to intimidate me, and I finally understood how serious this really was. 2 officers arrived 12 minutes later. One was a woman named Officer Ramirez. The other was younger, quiet, and serious. They checked the porch first. Then Officer Ramirez put on gloves and picked up the envelope. She asked if I wanted it opened there or taken as evidence. I looked at Megan, then at Jasper, still growling near the hallway. "Open it," I said. Officer Ramirez carefully lifted the flap. Inside were printed screenshots. Messages from me to Daniel. Private ones. Not sexual. Not criminal. Just painfully personal. One message said I was scared nobody would ever choose me again. Another said I felt pathetic for missing someone I had never touched. Another said I sometimes sat in my car after work because the house felt too quiet. My face went hot. Daniel had printed my loneliness. At the bottom of the stack was one typed page. No signature. No name. Just one sentence in large black letters. "Do you still want everyone to know what kind of woman you are?" I stared at the paper. For 1 second, that old shame tried to climb back into me. Then Megan said, very quietly, "The kind who trusted the wrong man?" Officer Ramirez looked at me. "Ma'am, this is intimidation." The word landed differently when she said it. Not drama. Not overreaction. Intimidation. Something real. Something reportable. Something that did not belong inside my chest as shame. I told them everything. Not all the emotions. Just the facts. Daniel Mercer. Columbus, Ohio. Online relationship. Money sent. Unauthorized loan application. His wife. Other women. The spreadsheet. The blocked calls. The voicemail. The message from the new number. Officer Ramirez listened without the look I had feared. No judgment. No smirk. No quiet blame. She took notes and asked practical questions. Had Daniel ever been to my house? No. Had I shared my address? Yes. Had I sent him photos inside my home? Yes. Did he know my work schedule? My stomach turned. Yes. He knew almost everything. By the time the officers left, my house felt different. Not unsafe exactly, but exposed. Megan refused to leave. She slept on my couch with Jasper curled by her feet while I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I did not sleep much. Every small sound made me sit up. Every passing car made my chest tighten. At 5:12 in the morning, Rebecca called. She had barely slept either. When I told her about the envelope, she went silent. Then she said, "That wasn't Daniel." I sat up. "What do you mean?" "He never leaves the house when he's scared," she said. "He gets other people to do things." A chill moved through me. "Who?" "I don't know," she said. "But yesterday, after you blocked him, he made 3 calls from the basement. I heard him say your name." I closed my eyes. The basement office. The spreadsheet. The place where he turned women into targets. Rebecca's voice became lower. "Lauren, I think he knows we're talking to the others." "Good," I said. But I did not feel good. I felt hunted. At 8 that morning, Megan drove me to my bank branch. I did not trust myself to go alone. We sat across from a manager named Mr. Caldwell, who had silver hair and a calm face. I expected him to talk over me. Instead, he listened. He froze what could be frozen. He printed dispute forms. He helped me trace every transfer I had sent. The total was worse than I remembered. $9,740. Seeing it printed on bank paper made my stomach twist. Not because of the number only. Because each line had a date. And each date had a memory. A sweet call. A fake emergency. A promise. A lie. Mr. Caldwell circled 2 transfers. "These may have gone to accounts that don't match his name," he said. I leaned forward. "What does that mean?" It means he may have used intermediaries. Megan muttered, of course he did. The manager gave me copies of everything and told me to keep filing reports. Then he looked at me kindly. People like this are very good at what they do, he said. That's why it works. I held myself together until we reached the parking lot. Then I cried in Megan's car. Not soft crying. The ugly kind. The kind that makes your ribs hurt. Megan did not tell me to stop. She just put the car in park and waited. By noon, more women had answered. Not all believed us. One accused Rebecca of being jealous. One told me Daniel had warned her about crazy women online. One blocked me immediately. But two stayed. Samantha in Oregon. Kelsey in North Carolina. Kelsey was the one who terrified me most. She was already at the bank. She had gone there to ask about pulling money from her home equity line. Daniel had told her he needed $30,000 by Friday. Friday. 3 days away. She said he promised to fly to Raleigh and start over with her. I heard myself in her voice. The shaking. The defense. The tiny hope still fighting the truth. Kelsey, I said gently, has he ever video called you from inside his home? She went quiet. Has he ever let you talk to his family? Nothing. Has every emergency needed money fast? She started crying. And I knew we had reached her. Not fully, but enough. Rebecca sent her the spreadsheet photo. Kelsey found her name on row 24. Kelsey R. NC widowed, house paid off, high trust, urgent equity push. She made a sound like she had been slapped. Then she whispered, I was about to sign. No one spoke for a moment. Because every woman on that call knew what had almost happened. Daniel had not just taken money. He had nearly taken homes. Years of work. Safety. Inheritance. Peace. That evening, Rebecca called us all together. 7 women now. 7 voices from 7 states. A wife. A sister. A kitchen table in Phoenix. A living room in Ohio. A parked car in North Carolina. We were no longer isolated. And that made Daniel dangerous. But it also made him weaker. Rebecca said the detective wanted everything organized by date. Megan volunteered to help. April had audio recordings. Michelle had loan documents. Kelsey had messages about the $30,000. I had the envelope. For the first time, the story was bigger than his version. Then Rebecca said, there's one more thing. Her voice changed. Heavy. Careful. I found another folder on his laptop. My skin tightened. What kind of folder? I asked. She took a shaky breath. It has photos of IDs. Bank statements. Mortgage documents. Not just ours. I gripped the phone. Rebecca whispered the last part. And Lauren, one of the files has your full social security number. I stopped breathing when Rebecca said it. My full social security number. Not the last 4 digits. Not a guess. The whole thing. For a moment, I could not hear anything else. Rebecca kept talking, but her voice sounded far away. Megan was beside me at the kitchen table, watching my face change. What? She asked. I put the phone on speaker. Rebecca repeated it slowly. Lauren, there's a file with your full social security number. Megan stood up so fast her chair hit the wall. How did he get that? I did not answer. Because I was already running through every moment. Every message. Every form. Every late-night conversation where he had sounded so safe. Then I remembered. 3 months earlier, Daniel had offered to help me check whether I qualified for a lower insurance rate. He said independent contractors like him used comparison tools all the time. He told me not to put anything sensitive in a text. Just read it to me over the phone, he said. I had laughed nervously. He said, Lauren, I'm trying to build a future with you. I'm not some stranger. So I read it. My number. My private, permanent number. To a man I had never met. The shame hit so hard I almost sat down on the floor. But Megan grabbed my shoulders. No, she said firmly. Do not disappear into shame right now. I looked at her. She had tears in her eyes, but her voice did not shake. We move. So we moved. I froze my credit with all 3 bureaus. I filed an identity theft report. I called the lender again. Then my bank. Then the police officer from the night before. By noon, my whole life felt like paperwork. Case numbers. confirmation emails, fraud alerts, screenshots, statements. But every form was also a lock clicking shut. Daniel had spent months opening doors into my life. Now I was closing them one by one. Rebecca sent the new files to the detective. Kelsey sent the messages about the $30,000. Michelle sent her loan papers. April sent his voice recordings. And I sent the envelope from my porch. For once, Daniel's story was not the only story in the room. 2 days later, he called Rebecca from a hotel outside Cincinnati. She did not answer. Then he called me from another blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. His voice was different this time. Not warm. Not wounded. Thin. Angry. "You think these women care about you," he said. "They'll turn on you the second this gets ugly." I saved it. Then he said the sentence that finally ended him for me. "You were nothing before I made you feel special." I listened to it twice. Not because it hurt, because it did not hurt the way he wanted. For 6 months, those words would have destroyed me. That day, they only showed me who had been speaking the whole time. Not a man who loved me. A man who hated that I had stopped needing him. 3 weeks later, Rebecca called before breakfast. Her voice was shaking. They arrested him. I sat down slowly on the edge of my bed. Outside my window, the Arizona sun was just coming up. For a second, I expected relief to flood me. It did not. What came first was exhaustion. Then sadness. Then something quiet and unfamiliar. Space. Like my body finally realized it could stop bracing. The investigation did not magically fix everything. That part matters. My bank recovered some money, not all of it. My credit stayed frozen. I had to replace cards, change passwords, and explain the situation more times than I wanted. For months, I jumped every time my phone rang. I checked my doorbell camera before opening the door. I slept with the porch light on. Healing did not arrive like a movie ending. It came in small, ordinary moments. The first night I cooked dinner without crying. The first morning I did not check for Daniel's messages. The first time I sat on my patio and the silence felt peaceful again. Rebecca filed for divorce. April started therapy. Kelsey kept her house. Michelle fought the loan. Some women never spoke to us again. I understood that too. Truth is not always something people can hold right away. Sometimes it burns. As for me, I kept my little blue house. I fixed the kitchen drawer that had stuck every summer. I repainted the bathroom instead of ripping out the old tile. And one Saturday morning, I stood in that bathroom, staring at the same 1950s floor Daniel had once commented on, and I finally saw it clearly. He had not loved the things that survived. He had searched for cracks. That was his talent. Finding the lonely place. The tired place. The place where a woman still wanted to believe softness was coming. But what he did not understand was simple. Cracked does not mean broken. Lonely does not mean foolish. Trusting the wrong person does not make you weak. It means someone chose to use your hope against you. I still think about the morning Rebecca called. Sometimes I imagine the other version of my life. The one where I ignored her. The one where I sent the $2,000. The one where I signed against my home because a man called me baby and promised to come to Phoenix. That version scares me. But it also reminds me why I answer unknown numbers now. Not every warning arrives gently. Sometimes it sounds like another woman's tired voice saying, "I'm his wife." And sometimes that is the call that saves your life.